Hey guys, we're back with some nice Vice at twice the price.
How's it going, folks? Back for some more Miami-based situational stories and action and violence
Hope you pay
and
your taxes.
drugs. Yeah, Vice City. Possibly it's one of my favorite games, and it's definitely my favorite Grand Theft Auto game. I think it will always be a
Yeah, it
king
still
for
is to
me.
me.
But we've got a few characters showing up here to wish us well on our trip to
Oh
Miami.
yeah,
I see
some 80s
Antonio
icons are all hanging out in the cities.
Montana's back. We got Dirty
Yeah,
Larry,
yep,
Sonny and Tub,
Crockett and Crockett.
Mr. Mr. Jim Crockett there slipped in.
Yeah,
Of course, Mr. Ray Liotta, Mr. Tommy Vercetti himself going to be joining
yeah.
us on this
I,
journey.
wa- I watched Goodfellas again this week just because it's the main film where it has like not just some acting but the voiceover, which they use a lot in this game.
Yeah, I'm sure, and we're folks. Obviously, we're gonna be getting deep into this game and all sorts concerning it. But up front, obviously, Ray Liotta, the star, the main character, such an iconic voice, and
Oh yeah,
someone who's gone too soon. I know he only died there a
yeah,
few
yeah.
years
Not that
ago.
long
So
ago.
yeah, he's a great guy and a great actor, and gonna be gonna be really looking forward now to reliving some memories of hearing his voice while playing this epic game.
An old Lance Vance.
Good old Lance Vance. Going to do the Lance Vance dance. Philip Michael Thomas. Yeah, what a character, and just a great like we've dealt with now Miami Vice. Then last week it was Scarface, and now this week we're going to be talking about a video game that incorporates elements from both of those previous topics we discussed, and also just lots of other kind of ancillary 80s cool things that we
Yeah,
enjoyed from the time. We're going
action
to be
movies, crime movies,
time
fashion,
movies.
music.
Yeah, we're going all 80s. We're going all in on the 80s here in Vice City, which is part of what makes it such a memorable and iconic game in itself. It's the fact that it's set in a particular decade, and it really just does its best to kind of hold true to making you feel like you actually are living in that time.
Yeah, it really does do that. It's not like sometimes you'll see a modern film made now and it's like, oh, this was set in the 80s or the 70s. And it's just all cliches and bullshit. It doesn't feel like it was made then. Whereas it's one of the few things where it's like, you couldn't have made this in on a technical level as far as graphics and processing power. But as far as the setting, if it was a show or a movie, it's getting the style and all of these sort of things into a big melange, combining all these different elements into one cohesive whole.
Yeah, and even though it draws on a lot of this stuff and a lot of the material that we would have talked about for Miami Vice and for Scarface, but it's never to the levels of just kind of like obvious self parody or anything like that. Like, don't get me wrong, there are some kind of wink at the camera jokes in the game where the game
Yeah,
is definitely telling you, this is a riff or a reference on some old pop culture. But for the most part, it actually really pays respect to that type of genre of entertainment.
yeah.
It takes itself
And it,
seriously. Like, you're having fun, but you're also just being immersed in this type of 80s vice aesthetic, and it's just so
mhm.
good.
Like it's got a lot of cool stuff going on, and it makes me think of maybe a Tarantino film where it's got all these influences, and there might be an actual shot from a specific film, but it's like 2 seconds, and it's still all the parts add up to a new whole, even though it's riffing on a whole bunch of familiar things you've seen before.
There's our man, Tommy.
Oh, Tommy Vercetti.
Really?
Hawaiian shirt. But yeah, we'll get into talking about the some of the game and stuff and a bit of kind of background in a minute. Before we get to there, I think I've got to press a button over here somewhere. Load a thing. Hang on. If I press this one, let's see what happens. Not that one. This one. There we go. Load up the old tape player. It's kind of ancient technology here. You ever play the old C64? I used to have one in the early 90s. I had one.
Here we go.
Yeah, okay, that was loading the thing. Now we're going to check out some trailers, go for a couple of minutes. These are like some of the original trailers promoting the game, so we'll check these out and come back a couple minutes.
Grand Theft Auto Vice City, coming soon on PlayStation 2. Rated M for mature.
Where is the goddamn money? You gotta take these guys out. This is your way to shine. Way to go, tough guy. Beat him to a pulp. As I said, amigo, you work for me now.
Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Out now on PlayStation 2 and PC. Rated M for mature.
Hey, Victor Vance! Did anyone ever tell you got a really dumb name?
You want to hear about a little plan that is going to make us three very rich?
Barry, is everything sorted for tonight?
Mate, you're going to blow them away.
Well, I'm more worried about someone blowing me away.
Lance!
Hey!
What are you doing here?
You don't sound so pleased.
I'll give you a chance. One chance.
Who are you?
I'm Vic Vance.
Oh, you're a phony, Vic Vance.
That is a real man. Let's pop.
Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories. Out now for PlayStation 2. Rated M for mature.
Yeah, awesome trailers.
Oh yeah. 2002, man. It doesn't seem like that long ago, and yet it is a
It
very
doesn't.
long time ago.
And I chucked in the sequel Vice City Stories trailer, which, I mean, we're talking about Vice City tonight, but it was cool just to chuck that in because it's got Phil Collins in there and it's got Lance Vance again and the voices and that. And plus the cool music. I love that wild style trailer, man. It gets me so psyched, like all the stunts and the guns and shit just going everywhere.
Brilliant. And you know, unlike you know, a modern game trailer, what you're seeing in what you've just seen in those
Actual game
trailers is
footage.
actual game footage. That's what the graphics look like, and you know,
It's
they
not
may
a
have
render of
aged a
like
little bit.
Link fighting big crazy monsters in a game we never saw.
Exactly. And look, you know, the game has obviously aged. The graphics are somewhat dated, but I think it still holds up. It's a very, you know, beautiful looking game. It's really just
Hmm. It was very
colorful and
janky to
vibrant.
start with all the compression and squishing things down to the PS2 and textures and controls, but it was still aesthetically beautiful. You know, the colors and the setting in Miami and all that. So we got a little bit of boring old text, which I fucking hate, but I like to give a bit of background when we get into something, because then if we talk about other Grand Theft Auto shit in the future, we don't have to talk about this again. But it is pretty cool, interesting stuff as far as if you like your video game history, or if you're old bastards like us and you lived through all this shit the first time and played Lemmings on Amiga or Atari ST or Master System or whatever, and played your old Nintendos and PlayStations. So I'll read out a bit of stuff here and then we'll move on to the next one. So DMA Design, which later became rebranded as Rockstar North, and later on they're required by Take-Two Interactive. And once you get to that point, it's incredibly fucking boring. Think of them like, I know, like Rare or other British UK developers. They're like indie sort of spirit and mind to them, did really cool stuff with limited technology. So Rockstar Games UK Limited, formerly DMA Design and Rockstar North, is a British video game development company and a studio of Rockstar Games based in Edinburgh. The company was founded as DMA Design in Dundee in 1987 by David Jones, soon hiring former classmates Mike Daly, Russell Kay, and Steve Hammond. During its early years, DMA Design was backed by its publisher Psygnosis, famous for doing all sorts of cool games with fancy art styles like Shadow of the Beast, primarily focusing on Amiga, Atari ST, and Commodore 64. And a lot of their games too had really cool art and were known for having really cool soundtracks too. During this time, they created successful shooters such as Menace, Blood Money, but soon turned to platform games after the release of Lemmings in 1991, which was a massive game. Like, it was so popular. The people that didn't even play video games were playing fucking Lemmings. Lemmings' international success led to several sequels and spin-offs. Some of them were good. The ones that went from 2D to 3D were fairly awful, but the ones that stuck to 2D were good Lemmings games. After developing Uni Rally, surprisingly popular game for Super Nintendo, DMA Design was set to become one of their main second-party developers. They do a really good split-screen racing thing on that Uni Rally. But this partnership ended after Nintendo's disapproval of Body Harvest, and I put these shots in here because, I mean, obviously, before we get to GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, we had the top-down GTA original #2 and London, which combined 3D buildings with a top-down perspective and 2D sprites and graphics. But Body Harvest is a direct predecessor to GTA 3, right down to the on-foot sections, the way you climb in and out of the vehicles. That tank there is basically nearly the same fucking tank that you see in Vice City. They hardly even changed the sprite from it. So there's a lot of stuff that they used on Body Harvest went on to be in the 3D GTA games as far as the design and way they would move and look and all that.
I'd love to play Body Harvest. I only ever saw footage of it, but never actually got a chance to
I was
play
the
it.
same. It was very late release, and I remember trying to buy it, but it was just one of those games that wasn't around. I don't think there was a lot of units of it around globally to actually find. They also did Space Station Silicon Valley. That was another one that had kind of unique game mechanics and was just hard to find on the old N64.
Lemmings, I have very fond memories of it. Actually,
Oh
the
yeah,
Sega port that I would play the most of as a kid.
it converted really well
Had
on
the Sega port.
most platforms, no matter what you played it on. Most of them were pretty decent.
Yeah, so that's the origin of Rockstar North.
Yeah,
I didn't
it went
actually
on to be
realize there was that
the
connection.
Grand Theft Auto team, as far as what we know for like the original ones anyway, for like number 3 in Vice City, and then you've got obviously San Andreas. But when we get to 4 and 5, they're much bigger teams, obviously, when we're getting into those ones.
Yeah, when we're getting into those multi-million-dollar
Oh yeah.
productions, they have like Hollywood budgets
Also,
for a game.
like the easy way is like DMA design, like Bully, Manhunt, Vice City. That's their style. And then when you're getting to other stuff like Red Dead Redemption, that's the other Rockstar studio. Like, you know, they got the 2 major studios back in the day.
Yeah, quite the cast here.
Oh yeah, amazing voice cast
Quite
in
the
this, and
cast.
it's very filmic, and like they put, you know, a lot of work into the cutscenes and dialogue in this game. And sure, the graphics are a bit janky, but you know, I've played the game so many times, I tended to skip all the dialogue now because I know it anyway. But they put a lot of work into the script, and it's pretty good. It emulates, you know, fun movies of the 80s and crime stuff, and there's good serious dialogue, there's gags and all kinds of stuff, and there's so many great not just voice actors, but just actors in this, like fucking Louis Guzman is like Ricardo Diaz, and like Tom Sizemore, Burt Reynolds as Avery Carrington, Robert Davi, of course, another classic, Philip Michael Thomas. There's so many awesome actors in this who would just do fantastic roles in it.
Yeah, Danny Trejo, Gary Busey,
Yeah,
and for us adult film fans, Janet Jameson also makes an
it was
appearance
getting
as
pretty over the
Kansas
hill by
Sutton.
the time they made this game. So even when it was out, some people are like, who? You know, I learned a
But
couple
yeah,
today looking these up. 'Cause most of these are already new. Like I'd say 9 out of 10. I'm like, yeah, I knew from playing the game and recognizing voice or reading the game credits when I finished it. Debbie Harry, no idea. Blondie, no idea she was in the bloody game.
that's
Didn't know. I mean, the music's in the game. I didn't know she had done voice acting in the game. And what was the other ones? Didn't know.
cool.
Oh, Lee Majors as Mitch Baker, as the biker guy, like kind of Lost and Damned style biker guy. Didn't know he was in it.
And his Hopper as well, of course. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
such
he's like
a
the
Tom
porno movie
Sizemore.
producer.
Tom Sizemore is great as Sonny. You know, he's a great
Yeah,
character.
it's an Italian mafia guy.
It just works. Danny Dyer is Kent Pole. Kent Pole is a hilarious
Yeah,
character.
he's great.
Get over here, you mug, you slag.
Yeah, I used to know I have a mate years ago in the city that talked like that. He's like, all right, going, how you going, Johnny? All right, mate. All right. How you doing, mate? All right. It's like,
We've got a big score coming in. Where's that slut gone? Kent Pole.
I had to look up on the very right side, Mercedes Cortez, who's the son of the Cortez, you know, the South American, you know, drug dealer guy. Feruza Balk. I thought she must be. She's in shitloads of movies. She's in all sorts. She's also in that bloody what was it? Was it The Craft? Oh no, one. She's in heaps of movies all through the 90s, but I didn't recognize her name. But when I looked up the movies, and I went, oh yeah, I've seen at least half of these movies.
Yeah. And this was kind of, so it's Vice City, but so we've had GTA London, GTA 2, and GTA 3. Up until this point, there's never actually really been a requirement for voice actors in the game because they've always been like text-based type of stuff. Like even in
And
GTA
GTA 3,
they
the
had
guy was
cutscenes.
silent like Link.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, he's like, yeah, in GTA 3, I think maybe you had other characters talk, but your character never spoke at all. He just kind of.
And I don't know
met
if any of the
situations
characters
situated.
repeat, because you had see in this one, Gary Busey is Phil Cassidy, the ammunition guy, and I think it's meant to be the same character in GTA 3, or he looks the same anyway. But I don't know if he did the voice or not.
Well, the guy, I can never remember his name. The character that you actually play as in GTA 3 does make an appearance in Vice City as well, I believe. And
Yeah.
one of the missions, you have to like race him or something like that. It's a nice little.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things actually in the first the first trilogy of games like San Andreas, Vice City, GTA 3. All three of them link to each other thematically, and there's little story missions or characters or radio stuff that pops up that actually links them in a chronology that actually makes sense in a way that's actually quite impressive. And even things like the V-Rock host Laszlo, he turns up in quite a few of the GTAs, and it's like he's big in the 80s, but when it gets to the 90s, it's like, oh, he's that washed up radio host no one gives a shit about anymore.
That's it. I actually I had a bit of a brain fart there, because it's not this game that the guy from GTA 3 shows up in, because he can't, because it's a prequel. I always get mixed up. This game is technically a prequel to GTA 3. It's actually
It's San Andreas. I think at the very
yeah.
start of San Andreas, isn't it? Or a prison bit where you're getting
Yes,
out on the bridge and you actually see him, I think.
that's
It's
right.
like in the
That's right.
rain
So
or
yeah,
whatever.
of course it's a prequel. It's set in the 80s, for God's sake. How did I make that mistake?
But they do well, even though
The guy doesn't show up as an 8-year-old boy.
but they do the same thing when you get to GTA 4, which has its own trilogy of GTA 4, Ballad of Gay Tony, and Lost in the Damned. All three of those go together. I mean, the expansions, but all three of those go together. And even they make references to the earlier San Andreas game and other stuff and the radio hosts. And so they have got a very tight continuity that runs through the games, regardless of what order or what era they're set in, that links back and forth. And it's quite impressive as you play them and go, it actually will make sense when you're playing them.
Yeah, they were pretty tight with their continuity
Mm.
within these trilogies of games they were putting out. I appreciate
Like
that.
I was surprised because I played the order I first played the games in was I played Vice City first about 2 or 3 years after it was out, on secondhand copy and a secondhand PlayStation 2. Then as I was getting towards the end of that, or I played that a year or more, I was getting towards when San Andreas was coming out, and I played. I think I played some of San Andreas, like the start of it, on my brother's copy because he had it. Then I picked up a second-hand copy of GTA 3, played that all the way through, and then a few months later, I got my own copy of San Andreas and played that. So I played number 2, number 1, number 3. If you go Vice City, bit of San Andreas, back to number 3, then back to the full thing of San Andreas was the order I played them in. And I noticed all kinds of cool links between them that actually made sense, even though I'd played them out of order.
I played them in order, but not, around the time they were being released. Like, I was about a year behind on each game, just because of the nature of, waiting to have money to pick these things up. I'm actually pretty
Yeah, to
sure
have
that
money and
by the time I got Vice City, I think I actually got it was like in a 2-pack with GTA 3. I got both of them at the same
yeah.
time. That's how I actually ended up owning them, even though I've been playing them a bit before that. But they were just
Like when I bought
mind-blowing games.
when I got around to buying San Andreas, it had been out for more than a year, and I was going to buy it any old time. I had other games to play, and I was going to buy it soonish. And then, pretty much the week I went to actually buy it, where it was all in stores everywhere in Australia, Hot Coffee happened on the PC, which doesn't affect the PS2 version, but they removed all the retail copies in the entire country of Australia from San Andreas stores. So I had to get on the phone to my friend in New Zealand and say, can you please go buy me a copy of San Andreas, full retail price, new, even though it was virtually nearly half price in stores here at the time. Send them some money and got them to post it over to me. And luckily, being New Zealand, Australia, it's the same game, same copy. It works, its power works and all that. Otherwise, it was nearly a year that it was gone from stores after it had been out for about 2 years. And I was ready to get into this massive, massive game. I got so pissed off when it happened. And I was so relieved my friend posted me that bloody game. Would have been stuffed.
Yeah, and if anybody doesn't know what that incident Johnny just mentioned is, maybe Google it with the safe search on.
It was a mini game that was removed. It wasn't particularly graphic. And someone found a mod or was digging around code in the PC version and done a hack, got into it, and they had to legally reclassify it because Australia at the time didn't have proper ratings for games. So they just pulled them off the shelf. And when it did come back a year or so later, it was then rated R18, even though you could not access the content that was only in the hacked modded PC version of the game. Anyway, but that's the other game. Back to Vice City.
Yeah, back to Vice City. Back to the aesthetic of the Vice. Our Hawaiian shirts, our shades, and a little bit of powder on the end of our nose.
Bit of powder, It's the style of the
Oh, it's
times.
actually just sun cream. And
Just baking
throughout the
powder.
game as well, you'll get to see Tommy modeling a few different outfits throughout the game. Like obviously the Hawaiian shirt and jeans combo is his most kind of famous one in it, but he will, get to wear suits. He even gets to wear his golf gear for when he's doing his golf course
Cop
missions
outfit.
and stuff like. And yeah, he's got some interesting sets of clothes in this game, our Tommy.
Yeah, it's fun getting the alternate outfits. I mean, in later games you get the full clothing stores and can make your own sort of custom character and that, but it is cool getting the different outfits to get saved as you go along. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stylistic things that were going on in Vice City. You had all the cool missions and the setting in Miami based partly on the real world, partly on the movie Scarface, Miami Vice, and other action movies. We had cool fonts here, like the Grand Theft Auto with that big chunky font that's kind of round and almost graffiti-ish, famously used in the Data East tag team wrestling. That's why I've chucked it over there, because I just accidentally found out about that today. And also The Price is Right in the 70s, and that's clearly the one that they modeled it off, because the Grand Theft Auto games pick a lot of stuff, not just from the 80s, but also from 70s movies and styles and shit. And the old Commodore 64 loading screen was a throwback, of course, to the DMA design, where they'd made Amiga, Atari, and C64 stuff back in the 80s and 90s. So that's why they chucked that screen in. But man, that screen honestly tripped me out when I was playing the game and didn't know it was there. And the first time I ever played it was with my brother. The game had been out probably a year or so, and I flew on a plane from Perth back to Victoria. And my brother, who was playing it in the lounge, so it was already going. And I hadn't played it. I hadn't even played GTA 3 at that point, but I sat down and played it with him. It was the first time everyone was just mucking around, zooming around, and cops and gangsters and guns and nonsense, having a great time. Played it probably about 4 hours non-stop, first time I ever played it. And the next day, obviously, I had to go to sleep, and about midnight or 1 a.m. on a weekend, turn the machine off. The next day, I turned it on, loaded it up, and I saw this bip, 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 and this Commodore 64 screen coming up. And I went, what the fuck's going on here? Is the thing working right? And but I recognized both the sounds and all the font, because I used to have a Commodore 64 in the, early 90s. I had one fairly late, it was secondhand. And I didn't know what the hell was going on the first time, but every other time after that, I was like, oh, yeah, I get it. This is the C64 screen. But I loved it. They actually put the proper screen in, and they've even, if you listen to the sound, or I guess you'd call it Foley, even the sounds of hitting like the space bar or the keys as it loads up are absolutely the sounds from like when you load up a tape game and shit. I love it so much. And then the little flashing Rockstar North, where it flashes through the colors and goes boop, 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 boop. A lot of C64 games had little loading screens that would have cool colors or music and stuff. Awesome way to kind of start the game before it gets into the actual intro here. We'll jump back to the stations, but because it from the loading screen goes into this awesome sequence of the stylistic fonts, the colors, the music, the silhouettes, and it's kind of homaging like the Miami Vice opening, where it's really stylistic and cool.
Fantastic intro. And I'll tell you right now, I never ever skip the intro to this game. Like no matter, and even like, no matter how many times, if I was turning the machine off a couple of times, then putting it back on again, rebooting the game, I would always spend a minute and a half just watching this play through
It's a
fully.
great music track that plays when this goes as well.
It's a great music, and it's the only chance you're going to get to really hear that music track. You hear a little bit of it.
That one track for the intro.
Yeah, so it's the only time, and I just love it. I just absolutely love it. And just, yeah, the silhouettes of the characters while you actually see in-game footage. Once again, this is actual in-game footage that they use of the scenery and the helicopters and the boats. It's just really impressive, and it makes you feel like you're watching the intro to a TV show of the time. It's just really well done.
They even got the that halai sport, which is like squash with the big long boomerang looking thing where they fling it against the wall, which was in the opening to Miami Vice as well. But also it's an actual sport thing that was played in Miami, so it was really known for that region.
Dark silhouette as well, of course, maybe. there's sharks in them there waters.
Yeah. Very stylized. Water's deadly in this game. Do you know what's
Water
funny?
is deadly in this game.
Yeah, but in Body Harvest, you can walk around the water in Body Harvest. No problem. But in this game, you're deadly.
It's instant death. Yeah, you just drop like a stone.
I do like, see, in San Andreas, they did the full swimming and the stats and going to the gym, and you could get skinny and fat and eat the burgers until you puke and all that. That I like that RPG elements that added, but just be able to swim instead of die was good. And Vice City Stories, they did add in swimming, but you're just swimming on the top. You don't swim underwater like San Andreas. But at least you didn't die, so I did like they added it in. Like if you're playing a PC version, I don't know if there's lots of mods. I don't know if there's a mod to just not die in the water would be useful.
Yeah, I feel like with these couple of GTA games, because it was the same in GTA 3, you die as soon as you hit
you
the
die on
water.
that because it's just an out of bounds area where there's nothing there.
Exactly, and I think it works from maybe a game design perspective. It keeps you from, being able to just take shortcuts, because it is quite handy if you're able to just swim across like a dock or a bay to get to the other side instead of like driving or
But in Vice City, you need to get in boats for missions, and you end up falling in the water and dying.
Yeah, the radio stations, great selection of music in this game, fantastic, possibly one of the best video game soundtracks ever.
I think it's got to be the best because it's not
ever.
it's not technically a video game soundtrack. It's just like real life music shoved into a game. But then they invented all these fictional radio DJ hosts that have massive amounts of dialogue throughout the whole station and the games, like weaved into it.
A really nice touch. So in GTA 3, you listen to, or you can listen to a radio station called Flashback FM, which is supposed to be the 80s classic station. But here in Vice City, it's just Flash FM because it's in the current day. But what's great is it's still the same presenter, Tony, the girl. So in GTA 3, she's always opining about how her life was so great back in the 80s, whereas here on the actual radio station, she's having a great time. And it's great that it's the same voice actor that they used for both games, and it just works so well. It's brilliant. And I think as I showed you before,
you got them.
Before we went on air, I actually have the complete Vice City CD soundtrack.
Awesome.
Now, believe it or not, it doesn't actually have every track that's in the game. It is missing one or two.
No, there was still licensing issues when they released those.
I think I got that. My sister got me that for Christmas. I think maybe back in 05 or 06. But it's a brilliant box set.
I saw them in the store, but I didn't have any money to buy them.
For our younger viewers, you're looking at things that are called cassettes and compact discs. We sometimes call them CDs for short. Before you could just stream this stuff, like we had to have physical media to listen to this stuff. If you're wondering, like, why would anybody have this?
Watching old episodes of QI last week, and they were talking about big classic like 60s, 70s computers and so mainframes, and I was waiting for them to get to like the big disc. It was like, and it looks like a giant CD or record, and it's like like a meter long, bigger than Stephen Fry's head. It's like massive, and he's going, trying to lift it
heavy,
up.
Yeah,
metal, like heavy metal, the original heavy metal. And it had something like a whole megabyte or 10 megabytes or something on it. Do you have like your favorite station? And then I have like my favorite station, but also my most listened to stations in Vice City.
So I think my favorites in Vice City would be Flash and then V-Rock. But be honest with you, like I nearly love all the radio stations, because I even like the V-Rock and Flash I would listen to the most, but everything, like I used to like, when you'd steal a particular type of car and it would already have the radio station kind of preset to whoever, like after a while I'd always try my best to like not switch stations and just listen to whatever was playing in the car when I got in, so I could get to hear like all the music that was in the game. But I loved it all. I loved all the stations.
Yeah, I like them all. Like when I first played it, I probably listened to a lot of let's see, probably the V Rock and the Wave and the Flash because it was kind of like familiar and stuff I'd heard. And then I think like Emotion because like, they had a lot of cool like crooner sort of songs. And then the host, like what is it, Fernando Martinez, so like the Latin lover. And he's like,
Those new
you've got to have
beginnings.
emotion, but don't have too much emotion, or you might get a protection order against you. It's like- and he could always crack me up. Like the voice actor did so well with that character. And I think the other one I really got into was the Wild Style, like what is it, Mr. Magic and the Wild Style, playing all the kind of hip hop, but it was kind of a mix. Like it was like electro hip hop kind of station.
And I just love because it's like they're like real radio stations, so they have like their bumper
Yeah,
ads and stuff for products, and it's like Wave 103, where the boys wear more makeup than the girls.
and I like when you have like the hosts and the talkback ones, like the VCPR, and where they all start arguing with each other, doing the sketches and that. And
Yeah, they're so well done, and there's ads for board games and TV shows, and Knife After
oh
Dark.
yeah,
I know I got kind
we're
of
gonna get to
mixed up
hear a couple
sometimes
of
with the
those
two.
later.
Oh yeah, yeah, but like so many
I've
good
got a thing queued
stations,
up for later on.
and
Also, I love like the music's great. Like you got masses of licensed music. They went just well above and beyond with the scripting of the radio DJs, like the characters, the art, really fleshing out the world. And you will see billboards as you're driving around advertising the radio stations. The V Rock has the I forget. Oh yeah, the Love Fist, the band. You'll hear the ad for the Love Fist band is coming to Vice City, and there's a song playing on the radio. And later in the game, there's an actual mission where the band is in the game as well. So it's really cool. They're like a hair metal style band. They were integrated very well into the world with the mission, the dialogue, the radio ads, and then the billboards in the world. All that stuff's awesome. And for some of the talkback ones I listened to last, because some of the conversations go on like 10, 20 minutes, and you don't get a chance to do a mission that long or get in a car. So when I was kind of got too tired to play the game, I would pause the game and put it onto the radio station and just let it play through the speakers so I could listen to just the dialogue on the talkback and just kind of have a lie down and listen to it and hear the full conversations, including the weird there's one that's like a parody of the Crocodile Hunter of Steve Weberman from Australia. Right around the time they had the South Park ones about, oh, stick me thumb up the bum hole, like that. It's like real just over the top parodies and shit. And like some of those were just so funny on the VCPR talkback stuff. It's meant to be like public radio, and there's a bunch of kooks and weirdos just turning up because it's public radio and they got nothing better to do.
it's like you said though, they went above and beyond with getting the licensed music for this game. Like I'm just looking here at in front of me the cover of that box set. So like it's an infinite playlist, Largo, if you're listening.
Oh yeah,
There's a lot of infinite playlist material here. Like so for V Rock alone, we've got Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Motley Crue, Megadeth, Ozzy Osbourne, Anthrax, Slayer, and David Lee Roth. Like that's an amazing lineup there. And I haven't even listed all the artists that appear on V Rock there. Like you got on Flash, you've got Michael Jackson, Bryan Adams, Lionel
yep.
Richie. On Wave 103, you got Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Tears for
Oh, I love that one.
Fears, Blondie, Flock of Seagulls. There's just so many.
In
Like
excess.
I could go on listing them forever. Like there's just across all the radio stations, and yeah, even like my lesser listened to radio stations are still kind of packed full of like familiar tunes and
It's
just
amazing they got so
great
many
sound.
licenses and music stuff to actually agree to do it, because like usually you're lucky to get one or two things to license something, but to get so many in one game is just like phenomenal.
I do sometimes wish that they got the Scarface music back in for this game. I know they have it in GTA
Yeah,
3, but I wish they did chucked it into this game as well, because this is the perfect game for us if they were going to ever
yeah.
have it in a game.
And that Scarface got its own PS2 game quite a few years, very late in the PS2's life, which also had a really epic soundtrack. A lot of it's kind of like the B stuff from some of those bands, but then there's stuff like Fat Boys and other really good hip hop stuff in there, and it's an awesome soundtrack to it. I wouldn't say it's as good as Vice City, but it's still really damn good.
quality soundtrack. And then, of course, even though we won't be getting into it today, Vice City Stories, which came later on, had a totally different lineup of artists that they
Yeah,
managed to
you had
get
other Phil
the
Collins
rights
songs, you
to.
had other Blondie songs, you had a different NXS song, and like different Michael Jackson songs, but all good quality shit. And it's actually set before this game as well, so it actually chronologically you get stuff from a year or two beforehand.
Yeah, brilliant. Great little bit of foresight there from the creators to make sure that the music that you're listening to on the radio made sense.
Yeah, they love seem to making games and they're making one that's set before the other one. It gives me a headache trying to do something like that, but they make it work.
I suppose when you're passionate about a project, and you come up with maybe a few characters that you'd like to flesh out more, but you just don't have the time to do it in the main game. It's nice being able to have that opportunity to do an expansion where you can explore these characters a bit more.
Yeah, it's pretty much what Vice City Stories. It's like an expansion if you're playing something on PC and that. But I mean, it was first on PSP, then it got ported over to PS2. I don't know if it ever got a PC version or not, but I do know they added in a gyro or whirly gig or what the thing that Sean Connery flies in Thunderball. You get one of those, which is really cool, a little miniature helicopter thing. And also they had the hovercraft, so you could go from land onto the water in the Vice City Stories. They were really fun to muck around with.
So we have here it's a few screens of the opening moments of the game. So after we get that beautiful intro, we get these cutscenes. And it's these mob guys in Liberty City, and their boss Sonny, who's voiced by Tom Sizemore. He's informed that one of their guys, Tommy Vercetti, is getting out of jail after 15 years in the can, and they've got a little job for him. He's done time for the family, so they're willing to pay back.
He must be a Goomba, not a made man, because they give him the shit kicker jobs to do.
Yeah. They're like, look, you didn't squeal on us. You did your time, so we're going to send you down south. We're going to send you to Miami. We want to set up operations there, so we're going to give you a bit of money. You're going to do a couple of deals, get yourself established, and then we're going to come down.
Money, Sonny.
It's all drug money, Sonny.
Don't want to get into that drug shit. Drug money.
So Tommy gets sent down to Miami with a couple of guys to meet Ken Rosenberg, who's very, very much like the Sean Penn's character in Carlito's Way. He's almost identical.
Oh yeah,
to that lawyer.
That's why it confuses me. Sometimes I'll have a Mandela effect, or I think, was he in Scarface? I'm like, no, he was in Carlito's Way. Sometimes in my mind, I'll be like, he was the lawyer. Shortly, like, no, he was in Carlito's Way years later.
So Ken sets up the deal for them, and Tommy and his guys go to make the deal, but it all goes sideways. There's a bust, people get killed, the money is lost, the drugs are lost. Tommy manages to get away, and he calls Sonny and tells him what happened, and Sonny's not very happy about this at all, so he more or less tells Tommy, look, you better get the money back, do whatever you have to do, and if you don't get the money back, well, bad things are going to happen to you. And that's how we kind of kick off the story.
It feels like so many episodes of Miami Vice is like, there's a deal going down, and there's guys, and they're meeting, then there's guns, and it all goes to shit, and there's helicopters and boats, and people are dying.
And look, obviously, like this game, the game itself, it's like so long, it's so big and expansive. We're not going to go through every single kind of storyline development and different.
I want to know about Taxi Mission number 10, Mark. I'm at the edge of my seat.
I want to know about Courier Mission number 13. But
oh yeah, did he get that pizza or didn't he get it? I don't know. I need to know.
You find hidden package number 29 of 50, but yeah. So look, just to give everybody an overview, I suppose the main plot of the game centers around you playing as Tommy, and you're just trying to get yourself set up basically as a Miami drug lord. So it begins,
and this is where it's most like Scarface. He's just a young guy. He's hungry. He's doing a few jobs here and there and trying to get by. And
And you know, a lot of the stuff you're doing early on, it really is kind of you know, a bugs game. You're breaking up cars to intimidate witnesses for juries, or you know,
Oh,
you're
I love doing
stealing.
that. I love smashing their cars. I wish I would have paid me to
And you know,
smash real cars.
but you know, we get, and like I'm going through almost like the greatest hits of some of the stuff that happens, but there's one mission in particular where you're kind of given the task of like, yeah, pretty much like terrorizing somebody on behalf of someone else, and it's like, here, you know, take this chainsaw and do what you have to do. You're going to saw
Just
the doors
cut
off
the
his
doors
car
off
while
their
he's still
car.
inside it. Yeah. And that's another thing, I suppose. Just like Scarface, this game is pretty brutal when it comes to the violence
Oh, yeah.
factor. I mean,
It's
and
cartoonish
apart
blood
from
because of the graphics, but the content is definitely graphic and serious stuff.
there's lots of kind of melee weapons. You know, you're killing people with hammers and hatchets, and you know,
Oh, hammer,
chainsaws.
brass
You get-
knuckles,
Yeah,
screwdriver,
pretty brutal. So
baseball
apart
bat.
from the firearms, yeah, there's plenty of ways to unalive people in Vice City, no doubt.
Yeah, it's awesome. But we'll talk about some more about missions and weapons and cars and stuff in a minute. We're gonna take a little break and do a little play some advertisements from straight out of the 1980s.
Loafers without socks? Deconstructed linen suit? Something missing?
Complete the look.
With a flesh-tone sleeveless t-shirt at Vice City's one-stop shop for people who dress for success.
Wow, you look like everyone else.
Complete the look. We have some sad news for you. Rock and roll is dead and pop is in! Why not discover the excitement of the science of music yourself at Synth & Son, the home of keyboards? Thanks to the science of music, you don't need musical talent to make great music. Just listen. I created that just by pressing a button. Synthesizers are the new wave. Why work hard on difficult compositions when a machine can make music better than you've ever dreamed of? You'll be the hit of the party. It's perfect for in-restaurant entertainment, cover bands, and funerals. Make fugues funky and death marches danceable. It's the science of music at Synth & Son. Remember, you don't know you're a musician until you try. Highlighted hair? Vacant brain dead look in your eyes. Something missing?
Complete the look.
Complete the look with men's eyeliner at Vice City's one-stop shop for people who are cool when they cry.
Wow, you look ambiguous.
Complete the look.
Knights of the road, here's your stallion. The car for freedom.
Freedom.
The car for hot excitement.
Excitement.
The car for a man who is alone against the elements.
The Waibatsu Thunder.
The pride is back. It's the power of a compact.
Looks small, but it's so big.
Fuel injected.
Inject me.
My Batsu Thunder. On the toll road of life, you have to pay to prove you can. Live the emotion of an individual. The awesome power of nature distilled into one vehicle. Because after you're struck by lightning, there's thunder.
The Waibatsu Thunder.
Are you tired of Dad?
Dad, no one wants to hear your stupid Vietnam stories.
Are you tired of Mom?
Hi, Angel. Do you want to read a book or go outside?
No!
The arcade comes to your living room, only without the creepy guys offering to show you puppies.
Awesome!
The Degenitron. You can play video games just like you were in the arcade.
Excellent!
Degenitron! The Degenitron gaming system plays 3 exciting games, including Defender of the Faith, where you save the green dots with your fantastic flying red square.
Cool!
Monkey's Paradise, where you swing from green dot to green dot with your red square monkey.
That's rad!
And Penetrator, where you smash the green dots deep inside the mysterious red square.
Wow!
The Degenitron brings arcade realism to your living room. It can even take quarters, and a strange, sweaty man comes by to empty the machine on Fridays. Degenitron, fighting the evil of boredom.
I'll never go to school again! Degenitron!
It's the knife that saved America. If you liked the film Exploder, you'll love this enormous commemorative survival knife. In the handle, you'll find all of the things you'll need in any wilderness, disaster situation, or the jungle of your backyard. It comes complete with fishing line, needle and thread for sewing gashes back together, and an incredibly useful and durable toothpick.
Tim, go on without me. I got toffee stuck in tooth.
It's okay, Ho-Chi. Try this!
For those unplanned extended stays in the jungle, there's a saw for building your own hut, toilet paper, and a fold-out woman for company, as well as a serrated blade that can kill a man before he can scream.
That'll shut you up.
The Exploder Survival Knife. It's the knife that saved America. Now it can save you.
This knife killed 25,000 people in Cambodia. Now you can too.
Well, I'm ready to save America, and I'm tired of Mum and Dad. I'll buy all of those.
Yeah, I'm really excited to kill those green dots inside that mysterious red square.
It's a 3-in-1 game, so it's pretty good. Good value.
Yeah, just like the arcade, except at home.
That's right.
Yeah, a fine example of and those are all ads that appear in the game, folks. And that's only a sample of some of the funnier ones. There's
like
so much more.
There's 30 or 50 ads in the game. That was like 4. It's like,
yeah,
there's so many. And some of them are really long. So that was a shorter one. Some of them go for like 2 or 3 minutes.
Nice look here at what will become eventually Tommy's mansion. The Vercetti estate, but very, very reminiscent of Scarface. Very
even the black and gold in that room up the stairs,
and it's so nice. And look, even though they didn't go completely all out and rip off Scarface, like there's no kind of indoor pool with the statue saying the world is yours so you can take a tumble.
There's an outdoor
but other
pool.
than that, there is an outdoor pool. It is pretty obvious that it's definitely modeled on Tony's pad, especially when you actually go into Tommy's office and you see it's got all those kind of
it's got those monitors.
And it's got the big glass windows where
one of the coolest things, like later in the game, you get to own this mansion, but first you're doing missions for the Diaz character or whatever. The one that's voiced by Louis Guzman. You do missions for him, and he's a real maniac, and eventually ends up like killing him, taking some of his properties and wealth and mansion. But once you actually own the mansion as an asset, it becomes another save point. You get a garage, and most awesome is you get the helicopter that spawns on the roof. So now you can just grab a helicopter and take off and fly around the city at your leisure, or use it to even go to start a mission.
And this is this for me, it's like peak GTA, and it's the reason really why I enjoy playing this game so much, is that once you actually get to this point of the game, you do feel like you legit own the city and you are the boss. And yeah, so and that helicopter, like that frees up, you can just go wherever you want, whenever you want. Of course, in the garage, you can store like, a couple of cars and a motorbike. I know I always have mine packed with a couple of...
You ever shoved a helicopter in the garage?
I'm pretty sure I shoved a tank in the garage before.
Yeah. Well, if you shove a helicopter in the garage, it glitches up and it puts wheels on the helicopter.
But yeah, like I usually, though, I try to have, I think, a couple of Ferraris on standby and maybe like a motorbike for quick getaways, because spoiler alert, I'm a little bit of a sicko and I like to vent my frustrations in video game form. So usually what I like to do is I go out onto the street right in front of my mansion and I just start shooting at people until I get kind of enough stars that, still there's loads and loads of cops underway. And then I run back inside my mansion and basically reenact the end of Scarface over and over again.
You got all the walls and good strategic points to hide behind. The other cool property on
the front door, and you're just picking them off. Perfectly acceptable behavior as long as it's within a video game.
The other best property in the game is on like the western island towards the top, across from the big stadium where they have the like the car racing and the concerts. There's three garages in a row, and then it has a news copter on the top that just spawns up there. So you can get, once you've got those, you can get another helicopter there. you've got 3 garages that are double garages, so you can put like about 2 cars in each or bikes. You can do the tank mission, and if you want, you can fail the mission and actually have 3 tanks, 1 in each garage. It's like crazy. And the 3rd or 4th time I played through the game, I got better at it, and I did some of the horrible missions that are the first time you play it, they're real difficult, trying to do ambulance or police missions. But when you get really good at them, you can get a shitload of money right at the very beginning of the game before you've done other missions, and basically get to that tank mission and get those 3 garages and put whatever cool vehicles you want in there and have tons of money and go around buying up other assets and stuff right near the first sort of 5 hours of the game, which makes it even more fun, because then when you get later on, you've got so many cool vehicles stashed and you're like, I'm going to take a completely ridiculous vehicle on a mission and just like trash it just because they've got multiples of them.
And that's the thing. And I suppose what most modern gamers would refer to as side quests, but these extra missions, they really kind of help build the atmosphere and immerse you in the world of the game. Because when you're doing those kind of taxi missions and things, and you're picking up people, they are talking to you in the car, and you get little bits of dialogue, and there's always some type of the first few missions are pretty straightforward. It really is just like driving a taxi. But then when it gets to more complex things, like guys tailing you, or crazy things can happen, and there's just so many little offshoots and mini games that you can take part in, like destruction derbies, and like you mentioned, the ambulance missions where you're like paramedic and stuff like that. Like there's so much.
Yeah, they're a bastard to
little
do
extra
until you
bits
learn
and
the
pieces.
janky controls that the vehicles purposely kind of have bad controls in the games, emulating like if you ever watched Blues Brothers, every cop car and that just piles into each other and no brakes and they slide everywhere. That's all the cop cars in Vice City. So it makes it hard at first, but once you learn the controls, you can actually get good at controlling the crazy, weird vehicles and even take advantage of them.
And it's as herky jerky as it can be sometimes, like there is elements of realism as well. Like your Ferrari is going to get you a much better speed than your Fazio scooter, but you're going to pay the price with when you're trying to turn a corner, going like 120, 140, and you like flip the car, or like
you have to
mow
master
down a load
like
of
tapping the
pedestrians.
brakes and using the handbrake to slide around corners, but not squirreling and snaking everywhere. Although, if you're like me and you've played the game a lot and you get bored, you get a sniper rifle and you shoot out all 4 tires of the cop car and just like drive around like a maniac, just sliding everywhere over the road.
Yeah, this was I kind of got a taste for the whole let your frustration out on the game environment during GTA 3, but Vice City was where I really honed my skills as like a maniac when it came to doing stuff like that,
I like
blocking
getting the chainsaw
using
and you
cars.
can knock the doors off cars, and then it makes it a faster animation for getting in and out of the car for like police missions and stuff like that.
You can also see yourself being shot while driving the car. Like you're like driving, the bullets like hitting you as the cops are like.
True. And I like getting the chainsaw and running a circle around the car, and you knock off the bonnet, the boot, the doors, and just trash it and shoot the tires out and just drive it around for as long as you can without the car actually exploding, because once they're damaged they just explode like a stupid action movie.
I used to reenact that scene in Highlander, in the first Highlander, Kurgan gets into a car with like this old lady and just drives her around like joyriding. But sometimes
I love
in
when the
Vice City,
pedestrians on the back going,
yeah, you go to steal a car, but there's a backseat passenger and they just can't get out of the car because you're like driving like 100 miles an hour flying down the highway and just screaming. Yeah, what a twisted in-game life I live. But when in Rome, and at the end of the day, you are playing a criminal, so it's not like in Red Dead Redemption where I'm a noble gunslinger who always rescues people and does the right thing. When I'm playing Vice City, I'm a criminal. I'm a bad guy, so I'm going to do bad guy things.
I love doing those bounty missions in the first Red Dead. The second Red Dead was good, but it kind of went GTA 4. The animations are so fucking slow and over the comp. It takes forever to do anything.
But even just looking at this list in front of us here, like the 38 story missions are obviously going to eat up the bulk of your your
Yeah.
time if you're going to be trying
That's
to
like
go
if
from
it's your
point
first
A to
time, that's
point
about
B.
30 hours. But if you're really good, you can do it in 4 or 5 hours or 10 hours. But that's not including all the side shit.
Some missions, yeah, the first time round, like I believe this is the game where is one of the missions you kind of have to fly like remote control little planes with
Yeah,
bombs
that's
on
an
them.
absolute
That,
bastard to do through that.
yeah,
There's a construction site, and you have to fly in and under the building. The building's under construction, and fly through the empty levels. And the camera swings around, and the controls are horrible. I've gotten really good at doing it now, but it's an absolute bastard to do because you're fighting with the controls and the camera, and the way the momentum, the bullshit physics, because they're not real physics like we got on PS4 and PS3. They're like simulated physics of the little RC helicopter will slalom back and forth and sideways and like the first time I played it, man, that one I probably fucking swore so much trying to beat that
yeah.
mission.
It's so frustrating. It drove me crazy the
Now
first few
I can
times
always
doing
do it
it.
in my sleep because I know that if you turn that little RC helicopter sideways, that the building guys that run up to you and attack you and can blow your helicopter up, you can turn it sideways and just kill them with the rotor blades, and it makes it much easier.
One thing, because sometimes and look, I'm guilty of this from time to time, especially back then. But you're having trouble maybe with a hard mission. You might be able to like flick on a cheat, maybe just to restore the health of your car or get a weapon or something you needed. But with that flying mission, no cheat can help you. You have to
Oh no,
learn how to do it. Otherwise, you're
you
just
got
going
to
to keep
do
getting
wax
smoked.
on and wax off and get on the boat and do your kicks, and you just got to train hard until you can do it. So same with the ambulance missions. The first time you do those are so hard to do, but you've just got to practice and practice. And I actually read on Game FAQs many years ago someone's genuine advice about if you're going to do the ambulance missions, you need to have like a Zen attitude. You need to just not give a shit what happens at any point because the game is going to fuck you and fuck you and fuck you again, just like in Goodfellas. It's going to fuck you over and over again. And one time you're going to succeed, and 9 times out of 10 on the ambulance missions, you will fail. Your vehicle will blow up. The patient will die, or you'll run over someone, and the police will come after you for trying to rescue bleeding people on the street. But when you master it, you can get through it and earn a heap of money really early in the game doing the ambulance missions.
And yeah, and like I was saying, it just adds a little bit more to that world. And even like I mentioned earlier, there's the destruction derby type scenarios and those off-road missions. It's just there's enough there that if you really want to, you could literally explore every aspect of
Yeah,
the game environment. And then on top of that, you've got these hidden packages that are just scattered around the landscape that you're only collecting them just for the stat of collecting them, but they usually turn up in places that are actually little interesting kind of hideouts or areas of the
yeah.
map that you wouldn't usually
And if you're
visit. So it
doing
gives you
enough,
a
you get
reason to
little
actually explore.
weapon spawns, so you get some free weapons and ammo and shit in certain places.
Yeah, so there's just so much to discover. And it's the type of thing I'm sure like the size and scope of this game is relatively small compared to like a modern GTA, but it was still an awful lot to have back in
Oh yeah,
2002 to be able to do
like
all this
it
stuff.
was really pushing it because I mean you had on PC, I mean you had your Dooms and Quakes in the 90s and heading into I don't know what year Ultimate Online and other shit and EverQuest and EverCrack and all that was, but eventually get to World of Warcraft. But PC had some of the bigger landscape games, isn't just a big geography. It was very rare on a console. So PS2 be able to do this massive game with lots of compression to be able to squish all the stuff in, hence the low textures that do look a bit nicer on PC by default. And there's also mods on there to kind of increase the resolution a bit. But yeah, having such a massive game on a console was just a real achievement, a real programming achievement to do all the compression to get all the stuff into the game and actually have it run relatively smoothly. I mean, the game famously has a lot of glitches, but half of the glitches are actually really fun and kind of add to the enjoyment of the game. and the other half are ones that are not. They're not that big a deal. Occasionally, you fall through a wall or something like Tomb Raider, and I mean that still happens in modern 3D games now. Occasionally, fall through the goddamn scenery. There's certain glitches that just enhance the game. Other ones that are really annoying, but they don't. To me, there's nothing that breaks the game. Nothing like modern games where they've got to patch something on day one because it's completely fucked.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. You could tell I was just about to blurt that out. At least that they released a game that was finished enough that you didn't need to be fucking downloading something new for it every second.
They clearly did a lot of play testing on this.
But look, like 97 vehicles. And I do get, like, these days, I used to always nearly know what the real life equivalent and then what the game name for a vehicle was, but it's a lot of it's gone out of my head. But look, for on a short list, I always enjoyed the Ferraris and Lamborghinis just purely for the speed factor. I also enjoyed the cop cars. The only problem I had with the police cars was that you don't get civilian radio stations in them. You have to listen
you don't
to
get the radio stations.
To the CB.
Even though they're
The
quite
CB
fast.
radio. The CB radio is still pretty entertaining, though. Listen to, you know, you can even listen to yourself, or like the description of yourself being like chased down if you're in the middle of a
That was good. And it's good. You get your fast cars, your slow cars. There's some little compact Japanese ones that are kind of good at turning corners and zipping around at kind of medium speed. The bikes, of course, like your Japanese style, like bike, and then your dirt bike are like the best speeds and for jumps. And if you want to just cause chaos, getting in like a big truck, whether it's a car carrying truck or a garbage truck, and just driving down the street, just trashing everything that's in the way is like so fun.
And there's quite a lot of, like, you know, novelty vehicles that can give you kind of weird
you got the
things.
Well, I'll jump back a minute towards the beginning of the thing for the old novelty vehicles here.
Yeah, your golf carts and your airport luggage carriers.
Yeah, and
Great
it's like
fun.
one of the slowest vehicles in the game.
I used to like doing things like this because they were so small. You could like drive them into the middle of like shopping malls and stuff and get them through doorways.
You could drive the golf cart into the shopping mall, and then when you come out the other side, it would glitch out and cause the ghost wheel glitch where it wouldn't load the scenery, and there's just characters walking around with looks like they're in space or floating in air. And the golf cart and the tank, if you drive in a straight line for a really long time and hold down the accelerator and keep going, they'll go beyond their maximum speed to a speed that the real life thing can't go at all. And then the tank, if you swivel the turret backwards while doing that and keep firing the shots, it'll make you go even faster again, like Lamborghini crazy speeds. Yeah.
It's a great mechanic.
Cool, fun stuff like that. Like the old golf carts would appear on the golf course, and there was a ramp. If you found it, you could jump out of it and drive away with it, stick in the garage. But sometimes they would spawn driving past that island as well, where you could just steal it. But it was hard to steal one on foot because it would zip past so quickly.
And, you know, speaking of ramps, you know, from time to time you'd come across those car carrying trucks that actually have a ramp on the back.
Yeah, I'd steal it so it wouldn't go anywhere, and then get another vehicle and drive over the top of it.
Yeah, I tried. I always enjoyed trying to get like a really slow vehicle to do stunts. You knowing that you're not going to succeed, but just trying to get the absolute maximum little jump out of it.
Yeah, try and get a jump out of the golf cart or that stupid luggage thing.
The word prick has to be the most commonly used word in this game, surely. Tommy says it like every second. He definitely says it in at least every mission. It's it has to be the most used word in this game. If anybody's wondering, by the way, what the writing under my name is this week, that's actually the cheat. It's to get the third weapon set, which includes the chainsaw. It's my favorite weapon set.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of which, look at that brick cell phone, possibly the most dangerous weapon.
Yeah. Oh, that telephone's pretty dangerous, man. You can get missions and accept contracts, maybe get a hit on someone going with that telephone.
some would say that the cell phone in particular, is the worst weapon of all. It ruins society in the end.
Plus, those big 80s phones, you can smack someone on the head with it and cause a real head injury.
Yeah. The samurai sword, of course. The samurai sword was great.
The sword was cool, but the animations are very slow. So, like the best ones I found early in the game were like that tonfa, which is like the cop, the little club thing that the cops use, the hammer, and the screwdriver. Actually, the brass knuckles. They're really good because no matter, even if the enemy had some kind of armor, it would knock them down, even if they got up again. If you just want to run past them and smack them and keep running, or shoot them on the ground, they're really useful.
Big minigun, the Gatling gun. If you got yourself in a nice dead end alley, you could just cause absolute chaos with that as the police just continuously get
Flamethrower was
down.
fun. Of course, the rocket launcher, you end up like blowing yourself up most of the time, unless you're aiming up in the air at a helicopter or something and take them out. And the sniper rifle was awesome for shooting you get the police helicopter comes and they're trying to snipe you, and you go like, fuck you, I'm going to snipe you back. You get the guy, and then they have to take off because they can't attack you.
Yeah.
And the sniper was really good too. One of the early missions, you're on a bike doing assassination missions over the phone. And if you get on the bike, you can jump off, use a sniper rifle, shoot the guy in the distance, get back on the bike and zoom off to the next target, because it's like a time limit missions. But you can get it. There's certain missions where you'll get some of the special weapons early before they're available in the stores. And if you fail the mission, you keep the weapon, so you can save your game, go back to the mission, fail it again, and get some ammo for it. And then you've now got it to go and use for other missions.
Is this the first of the games that allowed you to actually shoot from your vehicle?
Yes, because I'm pretty sure, because in GTA
you were able to do it at number 3. I don't think you were able to.
They didn't have the side, what do you call it, the drive-by thing. They didn't have that.
Yeah.
Because that was really useful, being able to shoot up people or to shoot up the vehicles when they're running away from you. Usually, you got to use the machine gun, otherwise you run out of ammo real quick.
Oh yeah. But yeah, you've no shortage of weaponry to cause absolute mayhem. And like I said, like go out in front of the mansion, cause some chaos, and then retreat back in and just like get the
burn
party
yourself
started.
with the Molotov cocktails. I found them one of the most useless weapons. You always burn yourself.
Yeah, they bounce
because
as
you got to
well.
hold the button down and throw it the full distance. Yeah.
Yeah, then you need to do.
I did like they had the
as quickly as possible.
They had a version of the C4 with the button timer in this, but in the San Andreas it was much better, where you could go and put a whole bunch of them on a car or something, walk away, and then press it and go, and it would work how it should. Whereas in this, you kind of would just as much risk of blowing yourself up.
That cleaver is a pretty nasty weapon as well in the right circumstances. Yeah, they really it's like all these. The chainsaw is just classic though. That's like it has to be a Scarface tribute.
It's
And
so
I just
fun.
love
and just the sounds it makes, and all the sparks that come off when you attack the cars and stuff, or if you're hitting the cars and you can saw off the doors, and all the sparks that fly out are just so good. I like just terrorizing people and just running around with it, and people go, they'll start running away from you down the street.
It's a tough weapon. I think you can even do damage to a tank with it if you attack a tank with a chainsaw. You can like
you can
stuff like
you can damage pretty much anything. Because even guys with armor, it'll just kill them almost instantly if you walk straight at them before they shoot you.
Yeah, which is something you might do from time to time because you're in a game, so you do crazy stuff like that. Walking really slowly towards the cops as they're all shooting at you while you just walk towards the chainsaw.
Well, you just hide behind the car, and when they get near you, you just walk out and spin in a circle and go, circle of death, motherfucker. Gets them all. I use the chainsaw a lot in San Andreas too, because you can climb on the cars and chainsaw into the roof, and they'll take off and go speeding down the street and that, and you can knock off all the doors and shit in San Andreas as well. So it's good fun on that one as well.
Wild style, love it.
Yeah, Mr. Magic.
I actually love just that art style in general. I'm just showing it there on the cover. I just love the way everybody gets their own kind of character and avatar.
Yeah, it's nice.
Such.
It's like this one's after that LL Cool J album, of course, where he's got the big like ghetto blaster in it.
That became a real
Don't
staple
call
of
it
the
a comeback.
GTA series as well. These type of
Yeah.
cartoony characters. E-Rock.
The Vulture.
Yeah, great station. Definitely one of my favorites. Bit of Megadeth to get the party started.
Yeah, they did a cool job. I like how when you play the original game, it loads up quite a bit at the start. But unlike a Commodore 64, on the PlayStation 2, and you get all these like profiles and stuff. Not so much the radio ones, but the other characters in the game. You get all the loading screens showing all the different characters, but they're all in the same art style on that. And it's really cool seeing all this stuff as the game loads.
Ah, the stunt. Great fun. Love getting a dirt bike and yeah, doing some wheelies and yeah, like going up like one of those trucks we said earlier with the ramps in the back. Great
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
Or maybe you'll
like,
take a little trip down to the docks and see if you can use your super bike to jump from dock to dock off the ramps. You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, it's cool. Like the crazy stunts where you get the cash bonuses for I think there's like 30 or 35 in the game at certain locations, and you don't know about them when you first play it because you haven't even seen the bike. But when you race up them with a bike or a very fast car, it'll activate a slow motion sort of bullet time Max Payne sequence, and hopefully you'll make it to the destination point. But if you don't, you don't get the bonus or it doesn't complete it. But they are is a type of side mission. And as you go through the game, you find more and more of them. And some of them are chain stunt jumps where you'll do one and then another 3, even maybe 4 in a row. But you've really got to practice and learn the mechanics of the bikes and where the jumps are. And like it's pretty hard to find them all without using the walkthrough. Like even the second or third time through, I'd miss some and I'd go back to a walkthrough to find the ones I'd missed. Same as hidden packages and other shit like that. But yeah, I had so much fun with these crazy stunt jumps. And even if I start a new game, I'll go do ones very early on the island, I know, just for the fun of it, just for seeing how many can I do without coming off the bike or completely trashing it or killing myself.
Yeah, once you kind of become familiar with the game, you get to know the different areas of the city and you will associate certain areas with where certain vehicles will spawn. So like you'll know if you want like a super bike to go to a certain part of town where they're most common, it's easy to just grab one.
Yeah.
Or you know, if you're not willing to use cheats just to spawn whatever vehicle you want, you'd go to a certain part of town and you just know that you were guaranteed to come across a certain type of vehicle depending on what part of town you're in.
And once you're riding one, more would spawn in that same area to make it easier if you trash it and get another one. But yeah, the stunt things, man, I had a lot of fun at several points of playing this game where I played it to completion like 3 times over 12 months when I first had it. And I'd slowly get a bit better at it, a bit better. And like the airport, when you're first there, it's you basically just destroy yourself and get killed trying to do the jumps. But as you get better at it, there's proper stunt jumps and there's non-stunt jumps that are just ramps and shit. We can, if you get good at it, you can tool about there for an hour just jumping over all kinds of crazy ramps and shit out of the airport and try and avoid the bloody planes taking off.
Yeah, once you kind of get into a rhythm where you're in the zone for doing this type of thing, and it does get to the point through, you know, repetitive playthroughs where you almost nearly know the streets in Vice City better than, you know, real life, and you can just take these corners with precision and you know just when to hit the ramp at the right speed at the right moment just to get that jump perfectly. But it all comes with repeated playthroughs and just general practice.
I do like in San Andreas, they added the stats where your bike stat would go up so you wouldn't fall off so easy because you touch even a brick or a post in this and you go flying off and face plant, which is incredibly annoying.
Yeah, it can be pretty brutal, those bike accidents, like when you hit a car and you just go flying.
Unless you go up to that garage on the island up the top left, there's the 3 garages. There's a glitch there where you can go into the save point with the bike and glitch where he gets stuck inside the bike and he won't fall off of it. And you can drive right off the top of the building and fall and tumble in every direction and he won't fall off the bike. but it's only good in that area. It doesn't do any good for the rest of the game anywhere.
See, if that was a modern game, that little glitch would just be patched, and you wouldn't get to experience the
Yeah,
joy
they
of
patched it
that.
out, but that's one of the most fun glitches in the game because you can literally tumble in as many loops as you want off a bloody skyscraper and not fall off the bike, and it's great fun.
Dairy biscuits right here. I know this exact jump. Will he make
Yeah,
it?
it's towards
He's got the super bike.
Cortez, where he's got his boat
That's
in
right.
the docks.
And once you get into that middle dock, you've no choice but to do another stunt, really, just to get off.
Yeah,
'cause
you have to get out of there.
Yeah.
And this is where, like, you really, if you fuck up here, the water kills you instantly.
At least you don't have to get to see your character be killed by a shark, like sometimes happens in San Andreas.
Yeah, that's right.
Any sharks you see in this
Yeah.
game, I think, are usually just part of the scenery.
Yeah, there's surprising amount of actual little starfish and dolphins and sharks and shit. Most of the time you never see them because you die in the water and the water's not terribly visible when you look into it.
Yeah.
But there's actually quite a few because they repurpose and use a lot of the same assets in San Andreas where you can swim underwater and actually see them properly.
Yeah, they're there. The murky depth.
If you're playing the PC
wonder I
version,
have
you'll
a-
probably see them with better resolution.
No wonder I have a fear of large open bodies of water, because I just associate it with instant death. As soon as your body touches the water, you just flop and die, you know?
Yeah, that's what happens. It's just the way of life.
All our mission types here that we mentioned some of these. Yeah, so the boat missions, once you get the hang of them, they can be great fun as well. The speedboats
Yeah, they're
are
great fun
a
when you're
lot
not
of fun
dying.
in this game. Yeah. And of course, you get total Miami Vice vibes when you're doing any type of speedboat
Yeah,
related
those
stuff.
cigarette boats, man, and you do literal drug runs just like they do in Miami's Vice.
Of course, there'll be a couple of missions where, you know, depending on the nature of the mission, and I'm talking kind of storyline mission now, but, you know, maybe Lance will be driving the boat, so you'll be gunner, or Lance will be flying a
Yeah.
helicopter, so you get to be gunner. It's good. There's a couple of missions that are just like on rails missions where you just get to become
Yeah, you get your
you know, a
machine
target
guns and
shooter.
Rugers, and
I love those
it's a
those SWAT
good
teams,
set
man.
piece for showing off the scenery in the game where you fly around the helicopter and shooting up all those guys in that derelict old building.
Yeah, cool mission. Of course, you know, I know we didn't get too deep into the roots of the story, but as you do kind of progress through and you're making your money and you're climbing the ladder, and just when you think, you know, you're going to be the final big boss, old Lance Vance, your kind of right hand man and compadre this whole way through, decides to fucking betray you to Sonny.
Oh man.
You know, I still like Philip Michael Thomas, but damn, really broke my heart at the time playing the game.
Yeah.
And the worst thing is, I
It's so shitty
always
you can't
thought
get
playing the game, I thought it was going to be the lawyer that betrayed you. I thought that was how it was going to come down. I just didn't suspect Lance. Lance was my guy. I thought he was okay.
Yeah, I think
That's
it's the
my
one guy who's not going to go against you in the game, and then he does.
Classic, you know. I was fooled. They got me.
But yeah, we got all these cool main missions, side missions. You get the asset properties, garages, ice cream factory there, and the asset missions aren't such a big thing in this, but they kind of take off a bit more in Vice City Stories. There's a lot more missions in San Andreas. So once you buy, there's properties that become available to buy later in the game once you've earned a certain amount of money and unlock them. And once you buy them, they'll generate passive income. You can come by and collect it, which is good for getting more body armor and buying weapons on the go, or just accumulating money to buy more assets. Of course, by the time at the end of the game, you're crazy rich and you've got nothing to do with it, like every Grand Theft Auto ever. But it is a fun side diversion.
Yeah, and it's good to have if you're the type of player who just mainly plays through the story missions and kind of gets to the end relatively quickly, it's good to have an excuse to actually go back if you want to 100% complete the game.
Plus, the assets are save points, so you're not driving massive distances to do a mission. That's really the other incentive to get them.
And like,
it's like
I
the
like
Resident
to
Evil
know, I think
typewriters.
you you want to know where every one of these is, just to give you a
Yeah.
break so you're not traveling so long. It's handy just having your own little property you can go for a lie down. It's yeah, it's nice to be rich and own all this real estate around Miami.
Yeah, I like acquiring
Rich,
assets,
but,
and the Vice City Stories sequel / expansion has quite a lot of asset properties. Probably actually too many. There's like, I don't know, there's like 30 plus, because there's all these buildings and stuff. And in that one, they have a kind of gang war sub game dynamic thing where you'll buy a property and win a territory, but then some gang will come and take over the territory and take it back again. Then you got to get it back, and it just gets really annoying because they keep taking it back. And the same thing, San Andreas, they keep taking the territories back, but you can eventually win all the territories in both those games, but it can be bloody annoying to get there.
Nice shots here, some memorable areas and moments.
Yeah, I like him in the old police uniform where he goes undercover for a mission.
It's Michael Mann's Heat style bang
Yeah.
raid as well there at the bottom.
Yeah, which they do again in is it GTA 4 or 5? They do that whole mission again with the proper bank. Like, this is a small one, but they do a much bigger version of that in later games.
Yeah, they really the Rockstar crew were just good at taking influence from just so much movies and TV shows. It's just unbelievable. Because, like, apart from all the actual 80s stuff, there is just tons of obviously 90s influence thrown in there as well. Like,
yeah, there's so many movies. Like, if you were to list every little reference, whether it's a mission, bit of dialogue, or a visual motif like his mask, I mean, it'll be well over 100 movies easily. just that alone, let alone all the vehicles and music and other stuff and dialogue and radios and DJs, and there's just such an incredible amount of stuff going on. One of the things I loved about this game too is growing up playing the old Segas and Nintendos, 8-bit, 16-bit, plus the arcade games. You'd get bits of action games here and bits of like driving or racing games. It just combines elements of so many different games. And admittedly, it does each of those elements fairly piss poorly. Like the combat is not good. The shooting is not good. The driving is not good. The controls are not great. But all the things add up to being really fun. And you kind of adapt to the weird, janky controls and shit that goes on it. It's awesome getting all these different genres mashed into one thing. And one of the things I never liked in the old sort of 16-bit racing games is you couldn't go off the edge of a track, or if you did, your car would explode or you'd stop moving. And here, the whole game is about like coloring outside the borders. Here's a track or a road. Well, fuck it, jump it off the edge of it and go over it and jump over the water and onto the other side, like in action movies of the 70s and 80s. Just like do whatever the hell you want. If you can get away with it and live through it, then you can do it. Like, there are no rules, you know. I mean, there are graphical coding rules, but there's really no rules. You just make your own fun and do whatever the hell you want to do. And if there is a mission that says, well, you've got to do this and this and this, if you can find a different way to do it, if you can steal an ambulance and just run the guy over instead of shooting him or whatever, and then just piss off back to your base again, you can do it. And in some of the later Grand Theft Auto games, they're absolutely phenomenal games like GTA 4 and 5. They started getting more strict with the rules. They'd make you spawn in a certain car that would drive at half the speed of the car that was getting away from you to force you to not be able to cheat your way through. Like, whereas in this game, if you get a sniper rifle early on, and there's a mission where you're supposed to chase a guy halfway across the map, but you can get to a spot where you can just shoot him in the car and kill him. That's it. He's dead, and you win the mission. They really kind of like changed some of that in later games and made it less freeform and a bit more linear. Is kind of annoying.
Yeah, and I don't appreciate when they when they force your hands like that. I like
Yeah.
having that
Force you
option
to drive
kind
halfway
of,
across the map and then back again with one weapon and one car. And,
yeah. No good, no good. No, I want to be able to, like you said, because especially if you're a veteran player, you know, you could start off a new file, you could do a few taxi missions and get a load of money, and you could have
Yeah.
a nice little set of weapons on the go by the time you're even doing your second or third mission, and you can just, you know, rampage your way through instead of wasting time, you know, being for, oh, you know, you can only use the pistol or you can only use this bike to catch up with the guy. Like, you know, it's not as fun when they place these rules upon you in the later games.
Yeah. It gets like more linear in the later games like GTA 4 and 5, which are still absolutely amazing games I really enjoy. But it kind of goes against the ethical design of these, where it's the sandbox style, where they're trying to break out of artificial borders and boundaries, whether it's you know, moral boundaries in the game because you're a criminal, whether it's physical boundaries because of previous limitations of technology and older systems and memory and RAM and shit. Now it's like, well, we've got more memory, we've got bigger sandbox, open space, go out and have fun. And normally that's only the kind of domain of PC if you're playing like a Stalker or Deus Ex, where you can, you know, take like mines and shit and plant them on a wall and climb up them, even though you're not supposed to be able to climb up, and skip half a level and shit like that. They kind of went the other way in the later games and went against this sort of methodology, which was irritating, but whatever. It's still a fantastic fucking series, and I do like all of the games.
Yeah, same as, and Vice City's my favorite, but I enjoy them all, and you know, even our first kind of like the top down, mostly 2D GTA 1, 2 in London, like I
Yeah.
enjoyed them. It was just fun being just reveling
Did
in
you play
being
that
the bad
Retro
guy.
City Rampage one they did?
No, I don't think so.
That's quite fun because that's in the style of those ones, and it's got all sorts
Yeah,
of
I must
missions themed
check
around
it out.
this and Back to the Future and other shit, and as well as 8-bit NES games. But it's in the style of that top-down GTAs, but it's a bit more playable in the way it moves a bit better and scrolls a bit better. So it's really cool. It's on like 3DS and most downloads PS4 and shit. I haven't finished it, but I played a fair amount of it.
Speaking of 8-bit, this is a nice 8-bit scene we have here.
Yeah, this is some AI art that did today. I mean, like, I didn't do shit. I just typed a description, and the computer does whatever the hell it does. You don't know what it's going to spit out. But I was fairly impressed with this. I asked for like 8/16-bit style Vice City, and I thought, man, this looks cool. You got the golf course, you got the like jetty, and you can see the city in the distance, the sunset. I was pretty happy with this.
Yeah, pretty awesome. I like it. I could see it as the backdrop for like the Miami Vice NES game, if such a thing ever existed.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's what that Retro City Rampage started off as. That was a fan game because I followed the development years and years ago. It started off, it was actually called Grand Theft Endo, and it was an 8-bit game running on actual NES hardware, but it was homebrew on PC, but running on the NES to start with. But then the guy did the project for 2 or 3 years, and I thought it was cancelled. I used to follow his blog and whatnot. Then eventually it came out and became a commercial game and quite popular. And within the Retro City Rampage game, you can actually go up, play an arcade game that shows you the prototype of the old game of Grand Theft Auto was working on when it was just strictly NES and didn't expand out more RAM, more memory, all that. And it's just like in San Andreas, you can go and play those arcade games that show the old games and that. It's really cool.
Tommy on the course.
Oh yeah, gotta get some holes in one. Give me some Subway sandwiches.
Yeah,
stay away from the alligators, Chubbs.
Run over some OAPs in your golf cart.
Yeah, the mission where you first did the golf cart was such a bastard because all your weapons are back at the start, and you go in there, all the bastards take off on the golf carts. So my way of doing it is I used to steal all their golf carts and drive them into the water, and then they'd have to run on foot, and I'd just run over the bastards.
Yes.
So they tried to get away.
Yeah. That's the best way to do it, all right. Cut them off before they even have a chance.
That's it.
Yeah. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and then after you're done your golf, you want to take off and have a nice tour up and down in your helicopter for your VC SPPR, whatever the hell that nonsense says on there.
Sometimes it is nice just to to go up into the sky and flick on Wave 103 or Flash FM and just cruise along.
Or listen to Maurice
Enjoy the
Chavez on
sights.
VCR.
Yeah, enjoy the sights and
Flying
sounds.
around and
Vice
around.
City.
Yeah, I used to sometimes turn it on, and like when I had my saved games with all my garages and properties, like the car auto place, the 3 garages and the other ones, I'd have all my favorite cars like the muscle car and the Ferrari and the bike, so you just kind of just drive around and fuck about, or take out one of the helicopters and just fly up and down and see all the sights around the city. Great fun. The helicopters, I spent a lot of time just fucking about, just like going around, seeing all the different parts of the city from different angles. It was like, it's great fun. I wish there was helicopters and more games that did what this did, where all of a sudden you're off the street, you're on foot, then you're on a car, now you're just flying over top and seeing everything from a different perspective. It's like just amazing.
Yeah, it really is like freedom. You feel like it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like Tony Montana, the world is yours.
Yeah. I mean, there's missions where you use the helicopter, but it's so fun just to get it and fly around. It's awesome. One of the best vehicles in the game. And the controls are weird, but when you use them, they actually make sense and they're pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, flight mechanics are pretty good in this game, I have to say.
But yeah, that brings us to the end of our look back at the old Vice City. We might check out later in the year, might check out, I don't know, San Andreas or Vice City Stories or whatever. Come back to one of those ones.
There's plenty of Grand Theft Auto related content we could dip into, whether we go forward or backwards. Yeah, there's no shortage.
And always sideways and twirling. That's how I go in the helicopter when I was like fucked up, the smoke coming out and they're all shooting me and I'm crashing into those buildings.
Yeah. Woo! The whirly bird goes down.
Bail out, man, bail out.
Either bail out or take as many of them down with you as you can.
Yeah.
Let's try and crash
the best thing is kind of hard crash and then bail out before it explodes and you can actually survive it.
Yeah, do the drop and roll just as your
chopper is exploding. The best thing is to get on the top of a building and just do that. Do the drop and roll when you take less damage as it went on the ground.
Yeah, you break every bone on the way down, but you survive.
Oh yeah, but you survive. You got that body armor, man. So you got to survive and live on, run around a corner, find a heart, get some more stars, but lower the stars, and then get to garage, go back to your mansion and just relax, put on some WrestleMania.
Yeah, put on some WrestleMania 5.
Yeah. Everything's exploding, just like in Vice City. Don't ask me why, but I mean, it's WrestleMania 5. It's fact. It happened. That's what actually happened. It exploded just like this in real life.
Well, mega powers are going to explode next week when we return on the Boba Joe show. We're going to take a trip back to Trump Plaza for a second time. Hopefully our last time.
No, well, eventually it demolishes the damn thing.
Like
at some point, stop it.
But yeah, we're going to see. We're going to talk about the iconic clash between Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man Randy Savage, Mania 5.
Oh yeah!
Big deal. Big deal. A big moment. A big business. Yeah, the Clash of the Titans. Only room for one Titan in Titan Sports. Who's it going to be? Hogan.
Godzilla.
Yeah, looking forward to
we're gonna do
diving back into some wrestling action.
And in the same way, we've just done several weeks in a row of Miami, going on an old plane down there and putting on our best Hawaiian shirts and trying to get a deal going together and stay out of prison. Next few weeks, we're going to do some manias. And we'll see how it goes. And Mark will let me know in a couple of weeks from now. We're going to do a bunch of manias in a row, and then we can do maybe some SummerSlam or Survivor Series or whatever one you want to pick out of those. We'll kind of follow up with them.
Yeah, it's all on the table. It's all on the table, and I'm all in. Looking forward to
It'll be
it.
fun. Well,
Oh,
I'm going
yeah.
to play the old outro thing here. We'll say good night and good luck.
See you, folks. See you later.